Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Hearts of Iron 4! This is on the Cornflakes patch 1.5.1 in this particular case. Although I think they've already started on the 0.2 patch development at the time that I'm recording this, but hasn't gone live quite yet. I am playing with the Waking the Tiger expansion, and in fact, will be taking advantage of that to go ahead and play somewhere, other countries, over here. Bam! So Waking the Tiger is an expansion that really focuses on China and Japan and a few other things, but that's really where the meat and potatoes of that particular expansion is. But more importantly, I would say, is the fact that it was paired with the 1.5 Cornflakes patch, which was a massively game-changing patch. Some of the supply mechanics, a bunch of different mechanics, but most importantly, I would say, with the Cornflakes patch, is the new mission and decision system, which does have an impact on every nation in the game, regardless of where you are. But since we are playing with Waking the Tiger, I think we'll go ahead and focus on something right over here. Now, part of me wants to take another run at Japan, because I think it's going to be a lot more exciting to play as Japan with Waking the Tiger. Part of me wants to play as kind of like all the Chinese warlords, including China proper, but I think what we're going to do here is we're going to play as teeny tiny little communist China over here, who starts off in a pretty rough situation, but does have a lot of opportunity to change things up. Now, I'm thinking playing communist China here as an independent communist China, not joining the Comintern. So, I mean, we may end up finding our own faction. I don't know if there's really going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking to join our faction, but yeah, so early on we'll be focusing entirely on trying to unify under the entire Chinese region, I suppose, under the one true version of China, i.e. our version of China over here, Communist China. And then we will be going ahead and probably starting some trouble with someone else, including, I would suspect, raising some crap with the Allies. Now, we could decide to join the Comintern and change the course of history quite a bit by having the Allies fight the Comintern in an unusual, well, I mean, there was no Comintern versus Allies fight during World War II. In fact, they were allied against the Axis. But, I think that could be a lot of fun. Now, I do have historical AI focuses turned off, so we'll definitely have to respond to what kind of nonsense goes on in the rest of the world, because we could have a very, very different world to deal with. Other than that, we'll play on regular difficulty. 1.5 did add a bunch of extra difficulty options over here, and as well, still have the ability to customize individual little people here, but I think we're just going to leave things vanilla as much as possible. I think it's going to be an interesting experience to play as Communist China on a regular difficulty, so we'll do that. And go. Honestly, I'm not convinced there would actually be a tremendous amount of difference here, just on the basis, especially early on, that we really aren't going to do a lot of things, to be honest. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get this kick started and see what we can do. Initializing game. So the first video actually will be fairly slow because there's not a lot of active stuff you can do as Communist China in vanilla here, unless you still want to do the thing where you, like, say, fabricate a claim on Shaanxi or Zhebei Sanma. Listen, I don't know how to pronounce anything over here. I'm sorry. Just be ready for it and deal with it. Sorry if there was a little bong bong in the background. I'm playing on someone else's computer. I'm over in Scotland right now, playing on another computer that's still sort of being set up and customized for the streaming. So some things might be a little bit weird. There might be some weird bong bongs in the background. Different programs try to gain attention for various reasons, and I'll get those filtered out over time. It takes a long time to really tune a computer to be exactly right for recording. Anyway, so I'm not going to do that, right? I mean, it's perfectly fine. Shaanxi doesn't start with a lot of active stuff. I mean, we don't know exactly how accurate our intelligence is, but probably it's accurate that they only got 2 divisions here. So if we very quickly fabricated a claim and went after them, and then went after these neighbors, well, then you would be really playing Communist China like before 1.5. Before 1.5, that was a really good way to run things. It was perfectly fine. I think you had an early decision even to go and start those wars, and there's still some of those options. So, for example, in our national focuses here, if we go and go over here, focus on China, and then exploit the weak neighbors, we in fact can get those annex war goals again. But I think I'm going to take it a little bit easier, and the reason is there's a really interesting new border war mechanic in 1.5, and I really want to take advantage of that to sort of expand us. So, you know, again, we're not necessarily going for a min-maxy sort of explosive start, but we're trying out a lot of these new mechanics, and I think it's going to be a hoot. So, what's our situation here as Communist China? Well, we have 8 divisions to start off with. Now, 3 of them are these sort of, I don't know, garrison-type reserves, usually when I think about these guys, and 5 of them are full proper infantry. But by full proper infantry, I mean 6 brigades in there. And then in our garrison type, we have 4. Now, 4 garrison 4 brigade garrison. That's pretty typical. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 4. Sort of depends on what their role here is, but that's going to be fine. But 6? I mean, this is basically the same as just the, like, reserve garrison colonial troop kind of division over here. Really not a lot of meat going on here. So one of the focuses early on is certainly going to be to grow this division proper. Our early target is going to be to go up to a combat width of about 20. We might do like the 40 combat width kind of divisions later on. We'll see exactly how things play out and what exactly we need. But with the border wars, now this is still relatively early after 1.5 comes out. The wikis haven't been updated with all the information, people sort of scanning things. As far as I can tell, border wars seem to always involve a maximum of 6 divisions or 6 divisions in some fashion. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to take into account the weight of the division or the combat with the division. Now, I mean, there might turn out that that's not the case, but I did some quick little tests just to sort of get a vague idea of how it works, and that seems to be the situation. The same thing seems to happen, was it when I was playing Japan? I think Japan, I was able to do a border war against Russia, the Soviet Union, right over here. And I think it was the same thing. It was sort of involved 6 units. So I don't know. There might be some more information about that, but as far as I can tell, that's the case. So in that case, it seems to me like the best way to be victorious in these little border conflicts, which are not real wars, is to have as heavy divisions as possible, so when your 6 divisions get involved, they get pretty strong. So we'll be looking at buffing things out that way. So our 8 divisions, we're really not looking to necessarily build up more. We do have this early warning, this one here, no divisions in basic training. And just to get rid of that, just so it doesn't annoy me, I will start training one of these. I'm going to be putting it on the lowest priority over here, so we're going to focus on reinforcements and upgrades first, and I usually like to prioritize reinforcements in particular. So these guys really aren't going to get built for a million years, because until we end up with a surplus of equipment, they're not really going to get built. And since I'm going to continue to increase the size of our current templates, we will keep needing more and more reinforcements to build those out. So next click I'm going to do here is I'm going to shift click on unassigned divisions. I'm going to right click on our army down here just to make an army. And I'm also going to go and switch everyone over to the proper infantry division here. It's going to change these 3 from the garrisons to the proper ones. And we're going to do that. It's going to eat a bunch of equipment again. So we'll still be, well in the hole over here. We're about 3K in the hole. So again, until those get built, it'll take a while. Now let's take a look. What are our construction options? So for construction, we've got civilian factories not being used. How many civilian factories do we have? Well, we have 1 available, because we actually have 2. We have 2. One's being used for consumer goods, because it's 24% right now, rounded up. So we have 1 whole civilian factory to build stuff with. And unfortunately, we actually can't add any more factories to the 1 state. Right, the little guys are provinces, and then the bigger division is state. Our 1 state that we have access to only has 6 building slots, and we are full. Oh, sorry. I'm misreading that. I'm totally misreading that. My bad. We have 4 total civilian factories over here, but 1 is in use over here. There we go. So we have 3 available. I'm being very dumb, and I really apologize for that. So we have 4 civilian. I remembered 4, and I thought that was a combination of civilian and military. So we have 4, but we can't build any more. We can't build any more military factories. In fact, we can't. Well, naval dockyards, we don't have a coast. What can we build? Well, we could build an airbase, but we literally don't have a single plane. We can't, we could build more forts. We actually do have someone on the border with, I guess you call it nationalist China. We might want to buff that out. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to spend a little bit of time building some infrastructure, because we're only at level 2 infrastructure over here, which is not great. One of the changes that was recently done, I think that was part of 1.4, was it 1.5 or 1.4 then? No, I think 1.4 introduced the fact that infrastructure, affects the amount of resources you get in a region. So right now we have access to 4, I want to say tungsten, and 4 steel, or iron, whichever. Anyway, this thing. And right now, so we have 4 of each. If we build more infrastructure over here, we will in fact have... we will get more resources here that we can use for our own construction, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to trade some way. And 2 infrastructure is pretty weak sauce. This is all mountainous. Moving our troops around here is just going to be brutal. I'm going to queue up at least 2 over here, and then we'll see what else happens. There will be some things that happen that give us some extra building slots over here, but yeah, so we will be able to build a little bit more later on. Let's take a look at research. We have a whole 2 research slots. This is really, really, really weak sauce. Really bad. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who starts with 1. I think 2 is literally the minimum, and it's really, really poor. Now, previous to 1.5, when I was going for a really early war against my 2 neighbors, I would actually really prioritize getting the upgrades to our infantry strength. Probably like this So this is the new type of infantry weapon, but I might not have enough time to produce them. So I'd get this for a buff and probably a land doctrine to go and get started. I think we'll go mass assault doctrine. Because we will have, like, literally, like, 1 million people, so that's going to be okay. Well, sorry, not literally 1 million people. Literally unlimited people is what I want to say, and or millions of people available. We're going to have crazy amounts of manpower when we bring in, like, the entirety of China under our control. So, mass assault, oh my god, I have the hiccups, has a lot of incentive for that. Plus, the thing is, things like pocket defense with lowered out-of-supply penalties and higher supply grace is actually going to be quite handy for us, because there's a lot of areas we're going to fight over here that has extraordinarily poor supply. And, I mean, this specifically is, you know, mentioning the idea of, like, when you're surrounded and cut off and encircled, but I think the supply grace will also come into play just if we've just entered a province and there's just not enough flow through to get our supplies there. They're going to be out of supply despite not being surrounded. So the pocket defense is going to make a pretty big deal, I think, for us. So that's probably what I would do. But since we're not literally going to rush into a war right now, we're going to wait until the border conflicts start to pop up, and that will take a little while. I think we can do a slightly more conventional start. I think, first of all, we can pick up engineering for the reduced research time over here. Now, the other conventional thing to do would be to start hammering down industry. But the thing is, I don't have to build factories, because I can't build factories right now, so that's not really urgent. Going here or here, either way, we do get more factory output, which would be nice. I'll probably go concentrated industry over here. So concentrated industry would give us more factory output and more max factories in the state. The 20% boost, I think, will end up giving us an extra slot, which will be really nice. But still, building that is going to be kind of a pain in the ass. More production efficiency cap. Well, I mean, right now we are producing infantry weapons, so that'd be good. But I'm trying to make the case that I think what I want to do, again with the idea to have the troops we currently have be slightly stronger, I think what I want to do is start researching the Type 24 infantry weapons right away, start producing right away, basically reset, this is going to reset our production efficiency when we make this changeover, do that as soon as possible, so then we start gaining the production efficiency bonus a little bit faster and make our troops just slightly better than our neighbors, which will help, I think, in that limited conflict situation. So I think that's going to be okay to get started. Okay, there's our whopping research. Let's take a look at the national focus over here. So, this national focus tree is new with all of this. Some of these parts of these trees are shared among most, if not all, of the various Chinese factions that are kicking around here. I didn't actually go and double check everything, although I suppose what I could do is I could check, say, over here, what's your national focus situation? So secure internal politics is different than I've got. Oh no, you are completely different. I think the warlords have a very different version than the two major Chinese factions. You can see nationalist China over here. This China has the same invite foreign investors tree. I don't know if it's all identical, but I think it's pretty darn samey. So yeah, I guess the lesser warlords are a little bit different. They can upgrade themselves into proper China, and then their trees change. But yeah, so there's some crossover. Over here on the left, these are our decisions related to our version of communism. So I think the historical route, I suppose, would be to go down here, agrarian society, socialism. And down here, because this means we stay Maoist over here, with Mao as our leader. Whereas if we go Marxist orthodoxy, we get Wang Ming, becomes the leader of the Communist Party. And if we go social democracy, then Zhang Lang becomes leader of the Communist Party. The socialist democracy lets you go and start the political power struggle with China for national leadership. You join in this interesting sort of sub-game within Hoi 4 that is involved with the events and decisions to see who accrues the most influence, political influence, over the Chinese area and becomes proper China. Basically, it's over here, the Chinese power struggle. To hit this button, you have to have more political support points than China proper. And if you go and take that one national focus branch, you'll have a whole bunch more buttons over here to start gaining an influence. If we don't go down that branch, then we aren't competing for ownership of the brand name, the trademark China, through sort of peace and politics and diplomacy. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go down here, because on the left branch I think becomes really ideal if you want to align yourself closer to the Soviet Union, for example. Just, I think, thematically. Yeah, there we go. Communist China seeks to join the Comintern, which is something we could still do. We could choose to do that, but I'm going to go straight down this route over here. That being said, I don't think we need to necessarily rush it. This does improve our factory output and construction speed, which sounds great, except we still don't really have much in the way of factories right now, so it's not going to really make us or break us at this point. We have a bunch of terrible ideas, by the way, as Communist China over here. Aftermath of the Long March is that huge factory output penalty. Also a construction speed penalty, but again, I don't know if I necessarily care about our construction speed because we're not really constructing buildings. Low popular support is hurting our stability and war support. Power struggles is increasing the cost of all our advisors over here. Well, not all of them, but quite a few things, including law changes. And the Red Army weakened is making our armies, it doesn't make them weaker in combat, but it does make them bounce back from combat slower and takes longer to train, but it doesn't really bother me that much. But ideally we want to get rid of as many of these as possible going down the road. Still, we don't necessarily really need to rush this, except strengthening the Central Secretariat by itself gives you 120 political power points. And what's nice about this is if you research this first, or I don't know, focus this first, I don't know what the right term is, the 120 political power means you can very quickly, say, get the silent workhorse, because we are going to need a lot more political power now than sort of before 1.5, because the decision system really does burn through a lot of extra power, and it's something we definitely want to do. Starting border conflicts will eat quite a bit of political power, for example. So my plan is to get the silent workhorse ASAP, and then probably immediately follow that up with our military theorists so that we can start getting army experience. In fact, I'm also going to start, even though we don't have the equipment, I am going to start training up these troops. So these troops are now exercising, so that will cause attrition, which means we will need to replace their equipment as they train. So we're going to stay a bit of a shortfall. But I'm doing this for two reasons. One, we've got a bunch of actual green troops over here, and again, I want my troops. I want, right now, few troops that are excellent, or few divisions that are excellent. We might, have very big divisions, so we might have a lot of troops, but few divisions that are excellent is the plan short term. So train them up and also generate some army experience for us so that we can start transforming these division templates as quickly as possible. So yeah, those are the two things I want to do. So the 120 political power is nice for the silent workhorse. The other things we've got, land distribution over here. While boosting stability and war support is nice, war support isn't going to make us a huge difference right now. It does increase the division attack and defense on core territory. I don't know if this also affects in border conflicts. A bunch of modifiers don't apply and or are reduced in border conflicts versus regular warfare. I suspect this still has a play though, so war support will be nice. Stability is particularly nice as well. You get that factory output and so on and so forth, but again, we don't really have that many factories right now, so it's not necessarily that relevant. But land redistribution leads to literacy programs, one research slot. We also get a research slot here and here, but these both require many factories, so we're far away from being able to do this. Still, getting one extra research slot, I mean, that's 50% more research. That's a huge priority. Other things that are quite nice, I mean, doing some of these can fix a lot of our stability problems. Actually, we can fix a lot of interesting problems with permit opium trade, which we're seriously going to consider. The Yan base area gives us some free infrastructure as well as a free building slot, which is nice. The other thing that's really excellent, invite foreign investors gives us 2 off-map civilian factories, boom, for free. Doesn't belong in any province, it can never get bombed, just 2 civilian factories that always run. It's going to be very tempting to hit this button as early as possible. The other branches down here can also be quite good. If you're nationalist China, you really will have the ability to basically reach out to almost any country. Some are mutually exclusive, Japan and USA, as well as Britain and France over here, but you can really reach out to everyone, like multiple people, and the first mission just boosts your relationship, and then it goes down further than that. As communist China, the only people we can do this with is the Soviet Union. I don't think this is going to be a priority. Invite foreign investors, yes. The rest, I don't know. So we get a relationship boost, okay. It gives us an extra general, sure. The volunteer group, they can send us some volunteers, which will probably matter if we're in a real war. Other than that, I don't know. Although this will lead to elite mountaineers, which gives us a very good discount for mountaineer technology, which, considering the fact that most of China, at least where we're going to be early on, is mountains, that's really nice. We can keep going down here as well to get the discount to support artillery. We can't get French drill, though, over here. It does end that way, but that's still pretty good. And then over on the left, the rapprochement Soviet Union just gives a non-aggression pack. Purchase tank gives us 100 light tanks. As far as I can recall, I think a single brigade of tanks requires 60 tanks, so this isn't even enough to have 2 brigades in a division, let alone multiple divisions. I don't know if 100 tanks is particularly interesting. If you're going down the China route, or sorry, the Germany route, weird China, derp, getting the Chinese panzers is pretty sexy. The Soviet designer over here is also kind of nice here. Anyway, I believe we do need the purchase tanks over here, and it gives us access to a new design bureau here, plus the research bonus. I think getting that sort of the one heavy tank in a 40 width division might be the kind of flavor infantry we want to go. We were going to go heavy infantry, but getting a heavy tank adds a lot of hardness to that division, and it can be kind of nice. I don't know what joint tank division does. Just joins joint tank division, both of them. I suspect it's like the shared research thing, where if one nation has researched a particular design, the other one gets a big discount. That would probably be kind of nice. I don't know if it'll help influence Soviet Union going one particular way or not, but it might be nice. Over here we get a discount. Oh yeah, this is a division with 2 light tanks and 4 motorized battalions for free. It's not a very potent division, but it's not bad. And then I guess, at least with the purchased tanks, we'll have some light tanks to help replace and replenish this guy. So it's not too bad as long as we're producing our own motorized divisions, or motorized equipment. Combine arms research for mechanized, and then that gets us to go down here to the renegotiate unequal treaties. So we'll have to go through combined armed warfare, and then we get some fun stuff, you know, one China policy and all kinds of that. But that's going to be really, really far down the line. But hey, dominate Japan, that's cool. We also get provoke Japan over here for some extra options of fun times. So that is a pretty good overview. We haven't unpaused yet, but you know, this is Hoi 4. You can't just start without a plan. Short term, my plan is this. I'm going to strengthen the Central Secretariat, then we're going to land distribution literacy program. Boom, boom. And I'm doing this just so I can get my silent workhorse rocking and rolling a little faster. It does hurt not to go for the early tech instantly, but I think it's going to be well worthwhile. We'll go to speed 4 for a second. We'll unpause it, just deal with any events. I don't really need to position my troops anywhere. No one's going to be able to instantly declare war on me. Plus, keep in mind that my troops are going to have no organization, so if someone did instantly declare war on me, it wouldn't matter if I had a front line or not at all. We are going to be doing some border conflicts later on, and some of the requirements for like triggering some of these requires that we have some troops on some of these borders for different regions. So I'm just moving my troops to like the 4 corners. You're in there, so that's going to be 2 there, 2 there. You're going, oh, there you go. I'll move you down here, actually. Could have done that differently. So I got 2 divisions in each corner, just to, I don't know, have some sort of balance. Wow, new computer. Let's turn on the turn off the day-night cycle before we all start developing headaches and or seizures. I mean, you know, no, insensitive to people with epilepsy, but man, does it ever hurt to, like, especially on the highest speed, like blank, 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 blank. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go to speed 5 at this point. So there really isn't going to be a heck of a lot going on for the last I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes of this video here. So sorry about that, but that's why we are going to go with speed 5. So what are the plans? So the way border conflicts work is we do spend political power to do that. There's going to be a bunch of them based on different regions. So based on states. So there's a state over here, and this is probably going to be one of the first ones that triggers, if not the first one. So we'll have a little fight right here, and assuming that we win, it's not going to be full-out war, but there will be a fight with my neighbors here, and if we win that fight, then the state goes to us. It's not a particularly wealthy state, but it's going to, you know, still expands our territory a little bit, and hey, that's never a bad thing. Ooh, let's give a quick pause here for this decision. Yeah, I don't care about promise of peace, because we actually are going to have a fair number of things that are going to help raise our war support. Raise our stability, and it's not going to cost us a bajillion war support. We also, while these will probably never trigger because we're 100% communist, I'm going to go and turn those off as well. And the Institute Press censorship is also just a way to boost communism. I don't think we have to worry about it. Improve worker conditions costs us some amount of factory production for more stability. Again, I think our stability situation is going to be okay, so I'm just turning these off so that we don't get spammed about it, and that's going to be fine. I don't think there's anything for us to do with command power. One of the things we could consider is if there are foreign wars, like for example when the Spanish Civil War goes, we might be able to send, what do you call them, observers, I think? That costs you command power, maybe political power as well, but is a way to generate, gives you vision over there, which is kind of fun, and I think also generates some army experience. Now, I mean, we don't need unlimited army experience, and especially once we get our military theorist, we're going to be kind of okay, but it's still going to be nice. So I'm not going to rush down to agrarian society. It is a huge production boost, but again, I don't think it matters much for us at this time. Oh, we never actually took a look at the the production queue. Right now we're producing infantry equipment, that's fine. We can only produce transport planes, we can't produce any boats, we can't produce any armor, and we can't produce anything other than basic infantry equipment. So we'll do that, just in case we end up some factories. I'll just queue up a few more so we don't have to be bothered. Trade situation, we clearly don't need any more material because we can't use it. So there we go. Got enough political power to modify the government. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Silent Workforce. It does cost us 187 because of our power struggles over here. So that kind of sucks, but it's okay. Boom. So now we'll produce more political power per time period, per tick. And that's going to be good because, yeah, we're really going to load that up a lot. And, yeah, Military Theorist is going to be the next thing I grab. It's interesting. Some of these, if I recall, yeah, these can only be built in certain areas. We literally can't pick an industrial concern right now unless we control certain areas, for example, which is kind of nifty. And some of them, like, yeah, which one? This one here, Sino-Soviet, you need to be at peace with the Soviet Union. It's like really a lot of like little flavor to some of these decisions. So the Stardust Communist China is completely different than any other nation I've ever played. Research complete over here. I will go directly into mechanical computing for even more discounted research time. I think it's fine. Obviously, it's an investment for the future as opposed to something that helps us right now. But I think that's an investment well worthwhile. Especially right now, like, our research is so slow, right? That, like, if we can finish that before we get the research slots, I guess that's fine. And the command power is going up. The experience is going up. I mean, and I will probably try to make the changes to the template as quickly as possible. But it doesn't really matter. As long as I make the change of the template before any equipment starts being spent over here. I mean, I don't have to be trained in this one. But if you don't, and you get that little warning. I mean, I guess I could just right-click it to go away, but I don't know. It's my own little personal quirk. Deal with it. Well, I guess we can go ahead and put a cut in here. Hello, land distribution about to finish. Thank you very much. We'll pause that. We'll go ahead and we will queue up the literacy program for the research slot. And that'll be the end of today's episode. Now, something I'm going to start doing at this point. If you're subscribed to this channel, hey, great. However, YouTube doesn't actually show you all the videos from all the channels you're subscribed to because that would make sense. YouTube is weird. There's like a bell or something icon next to the subscribe button. If you click on that, if you mouse over it, you'll see it's to enable YouTube to notify you about like all videos from this channel. I don't know what subscribe means anymore if YouTube isn't just... Because back in my day, and for most of your days, when you subscribe to a channel, didn't it just show you in your list when you go to the homepage all the videos from the channel you subscribe to? Not like picks and chooses and does it randomly. It doesn't always show you the latest one at the top. Rant over. Anyway, clicky the little bell if you probably want to be alerted about all videos on this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.